Well, in a landmark verdict, former Liberian President Charles Taylor has been convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity. It is the first time an African head of state has been found guilty by an international tribunal.
The United Nations-backed Special Court for Sierra Leone took more than 2 hours to read out the charges, evidence, and its final ruling in the Hague courtroom. Prosecutors say Taylor masterminded Sierra Leone's civil war, aiding and abating Sierra Leone's Revolutionary United Front rebels in exchange for blood diamonds mined in eastern Sierra Leone. The court's judges ruled unanimously that the 64-year-old Taylor was guilty of murder, rape, sexual slavery, recruitment of child soldiers, enslavement and other crimes during wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone, during which more than 50,000 people were killed. Taylor was arrested and turned over to the court in 2006, 3 years after his indictment and subsequent resignation as president. The trial, which opened in 2007, was transferred from Freetown to The Hague and amid regional security concerns. Throughout the trial, Taylor steadfastly denied the charges, insisting he tried to bring peace to the region, arguing that his trial was a politically motivated conspiracy by Western nations. Charles Taylor stood emotionless as Judge Richard Lossick read the historic verdict to the courtroom.
Having considered all the evidence and the arguments of the parties, the statute and the rules, and based upon the findings as determined by the trial chamber in its judgment, the trial chamber unanimously finds you guilty of aiding and abetting the commission of the following crimes and planning the commission of the following crimes in the attacks on Kono and Makori in December 1998 and in the invasion of and retreat from Freetown between December 1998 and February 1999.
Judge Lossick scheduled a sentencing hearing for May the 16th and announced that the sentence would be revealed 2 weeks later. Taylor is to be imprisoned in Britain.
Now, many people that suffered the atrocities during the wars of Liberia and Sierra Leone thought this day would never come. And like other victims of the conflict, Mohamed Fofana has tried to move on from the horrors of one of Africa's most brutal conflicts, but memories of the atrocities are still vivid.
They attacked now we camp when I been displaced camp na Gundama.
They attacked us in a displaced camp in Gundama, and we were running away. I was shot in the leg and it was badly broken. Later on, the Red Cross and government troops came and found me and some dead people. They took me to Boo Hospital where my leg was amputated, and because I had been diagnosed with tetanus.
I feel bad.
I felt bad because I was not expecting it. I was 17 years old. I was with my family, hiding from one place to another, and we walked long distances until we finally came to stay in the camp.
Now, for more perspective on the Charles Taylor verdict, we're joined on the phone from The Hague by David Crane, former prosecutor for the Special Court for Sierra Leone, who originally indicted Charles Taylor. Mr. Crane, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to In Focus.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So having indicted Mr. Taylor, do you feel a sense of vindication with this verdict today?
Well, it's not my sense of vindication. In fact, it's not about me at all. It's about the people of Sierra Leone who suffered so greatly. So this is a moment of justice for the people of Sierra Leone, and I am proud and humbled to have been a small part of that in helping them get that justice.
Now, Mr. Taylor was found guilty on all the 11 charges that were brought upon him. Was this what you expected, or you thought maybe one would be dropped?
No, I was fairly confident. Before I signed those indictments, I ensured that the charges, particularly 2 of them, were provable beyond a reasonable doubt. And as we developed the investigation and solidified our case, it was clear to me that Charles Taylor, in a fair and open trial, would most likely be found guilty. But again, that's up to a trier of fact, and they did so today.
What kind of sentence do you expect will be handed down to Mr. Taylor in the weeks coming?
Well, again, it'll be up to the trier of fact after they take in extenuation and mitigation evidence and consider all of the atrocities that he committed, crimes against humanity and war crimes, and then they will decide. But because of the fact that he was clearly convicted of all the charges and aiding and abetting the war crimes and crimes against humanity, then he will get a heavy sentence indeed.
Now, Mr. Taylor has repeatedly maintained his innocence, and he is expected to appeal this verdict. Do you feel, or do you believe that it could be overturned? And what could be different?
Well, of course, I'm not an appellate judge, but I'm confident that we have a fairly strong case to appeal, but he has a right to appeal. This is justice, and it's a fair and open trial, so he has an absolute right to appeal. He should, and the appellate chamber will make the appropriate decisions based on that. But I am confident that there is no real major error of fact or law that's in the record, and I think that it will be sustained.
This trial took many years and many, many millions of dollars, and some are saying, well, how does that help, this verdict? How does it really help those who are walking around the streets of Sierra Leone, Freetown, wherever, without arms, with horrible memories? How does this verdict translate into, real change for those who really suffered?
Well, they know that the beginning of a sustainable peace has begun. Without justice, you really can't have true peace. So this verdict and the verdicts before it now will lay the groundwork for true peace to begin. And so even though the court was not set up to pay the victims, justice was done for the victims. And even though I respect the pain and the horror that took place, I walked that entire countryside for 3 years listening to the people of Sierra Leone tell me what took place here. I respect their pain and suffering, but at least they know in the evenings that a true peace has started based on the just decision today.
Well, Mr. Crane, we appreciate your insight on today's Charles Taylor verdict. Thank you so much for joining us. That's David Crane, former prosecutor for the Special Court for Sierra Leone, who joined us today from The Hague.